Hello, welcome to Homeless Perspective Live breaking news for Saturday, January 16th, 2021. I'm Tim Houchin. I'm broadcasting to you from Anaheim, California. Here are some of the latest homeless stories, news stories here in California. A growing number of elected officials statewide have announced their support for AB 71, the Bring California Home Act, which seeks to create affordable apartment units and rental assistance through money generated from a proposed tax increase on some California corporations. According to Assemblywoman Luz Rivas, a Democrat from Los Angeles, the bill would create $2.4 billion annually by restoring 1980s era tax rates for corporations that make $5 million or more in profits each year. The money would allow the state to create affordable housing and rental assistance for 28,000 people a year who are at risk of becoming homeless, providing safe shelter for 25,000 people and families, and provide permanent housing for 43,000 people, and give additional services to 50,000 people. The bill is sponsored by a coalition that includes LA Mayor Eric Garcetti, Oakland Mayor Libby Schaaf, Sacramento Mayor Darrell Steinberg, and the organizations Housing California, Corporation of Supportive Housing, All Home, Brilliant Corners, and so on and so forth. There are many others. On Thursday, Sacramento Mayor Darrell Steinberg announced the city would receive $15.3 million for rental assistance through federal stimulus funding. Steinberg also announced that he would be seeking approval from the city council members next Tuesday to roll out 60 tiny homes in the next 30 days. Here's a news clip from KABC News 10, Sacramento.
This is so important because we can't continue to have what's going on in our city.
The plan is to designate certain areas of public or private property in Sacramento for small tent communities where homeless people can live temporarily. But city council members have to approve it for their districts first.
We cannot plan to plan. We have to actually take action.
With the goal to bring people inside as soon as possible, he says he's looking to get approval on some tiny homes as well.
I am proposing that we direct the city team to put up at least 60 tiny homes on these same vacant parcels, any one of the vacant parcels, within 30 days.
Mayor Steinberg did not specify the sites. That will be up to the city council members, but the city already has 8 of these pallet homes ready for installation when the first site is found.
The city needs to be proactive, both in locating the sites, but also working in true partnership with the community to actually make these projects happen. It's not enough to just say, well, you can set up a tiny home village or a safe campsite, and good luck. It's not enough.
This is all what Mayor Steinberg calls an interim step to provide shelter quickly until the city works to adopt a homeless housing master plan in which city council members will work within their districts to identify locations for homeless shelters. This master plan will also look for financing and operations for those shelters.
Okay, the annual death rates of people experiencing homelessness in Los Angeles County continue to rise, according to a recently published report by the county's public health department. The leading cause of death, as it has been for the past 3 years, is substance overdose, and the powerful opioid fentanyl has played an increasingly significant role in those deaths, the report said. Fentanyl is a powerful synthetic painkiller similar to morphine, but can be 50 to 100 times more potent. A dose as small as 2 milligrams can be lethal to most people, according to the National Institutes of Health. The drug spread can be attributed to its relative ease to create and distribute because it's much easier to make fentanyl than it is to create opium, and the drug can make it through shipping systems in very small quantities. But the rise in deaths is a different matter, according to the LA County report, because it's hard to tell from autopsies whether a person killed in a fentanyl-related overdose used the drug knowingly or if fentanyl was cut into another street drug without their knowledge. Tonight on Homeless Perspective Live weekly update at 8 o'clock, we will be talking about the use of fentanyl test strips that are being distributed to homeless persons that use street drugs in Portland, Oregon, and a program there that has been saving lives. We'll have Haven Wheelock from Outside In, a nonprofit in Portland, and she'll be with us for an interview, and she'll share with us the success that the program has seen since being implemented there in about 2017, I think it was. We have a stock video clip from CNN that came from 2019 that further explains fentanyl testing.
What does this strip do? And I'm interested, is there any evidence that people who use it and find fentanyl in their drug don't take that substance, at least at that moment?
Right. So it's really two great and very separate questions, Poppy. So these strips seem to work quite well at detecting fentanyl. So when people buy heroin and cocaine, they don't realize that it's often, as you said, laced with fentanyl. And fentanyl is just so incredibly powerful. So this test works like a pregnancy test. You just dip it in. It only takes a minute or two. You dip it into drugs as you're preparing them, and you see if it has fentanyl or not. Fentanyl is 50 times more powerful than heroin and so incredibly dangerous. And so the theory is that drug users would say, oh, well, I better not do these drugs.
Right.
But that's the theory. The question is, are they going to say, no drugs today, or I'll have to go buy some new drugs, or are they going to be so anxious to get that high that they'll do the drugs anyhow? They could also decide to take a smaller dose of the drugs, take less of them. But again, will they make that decision even if they know there's fentanyl?
Right, and that's a question. What I find interesting is that even though this could be a life-saving measure, there's some pretty ardent opposition to this. I know the head of the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration vehemently opposes it, saying, this gives a false sense of security.
Right, that same argument was used, if you remember, Poppy, during the time of the needle exchange programs when those were beginning. And that was giving drug users clean needles to help stop the spread of HIV. And people said, oh, you're giving these drug users a false sense of security with clean needles. Well, I'll tell you, public health experts will tell you that these needle exchange programs were so successful. I mean, they really did reduce the spread of HIV. So that argument, there's some problems with that argument.
Okay, that's all the breaking news to report at this time. Don't forget that we will be live tonight at 8 p.m. with the Homeless Perspective live weekly update. Our special guest tonight will be, as mentioned, Haven Wheelock from Outside In of Portland, Oregon, and we'll be discussing a program that she directs that provides homeless substance abusers with fentanyl test strips so they can test their street drugs for the presence of fentanyl. I hope to see you tonight at 8 o'clock. Goodbye for now.